Okay, so when we think about hacking, right, most people picture, I don't know, hoodies and fast typing in a dark room, maybe
Well,
from the movies.
yeah, that classic image. But the reality is quite a bit more complex.
Exactly. And there's this huge divide. You've got the folks trying to stop the breaches, the white hats.
Ethical hackers?
But today, we're diving into the other side. We're looking at the black hats, based on what we've learned from Black Hat Hacking Exposed.
That's the plan. We want to really unpack what they do, how they do it. There are others, the gray hats, sort of in the middle.
Right, we might touch on them, but the main mission today is really understanding the Black Hat playbook, according to the source.
What drives them, their techniques, and the impact they have.
Because hearing data breach on the news is one thing, understanding the how and why behind it, that's different. So let's start at the beginning. How do they actually, get inside systems?
Well, the fundamental thing is what's called unauthorized access. Basically, breaking and entering, but digital. It could be a website, could be a company server, maybe huge databases, or even just someone's personal laptop.
And what are they after once they're in?
Usually, it boils down to data, stealing it, maybe changing it, sometimes just deleting it altogether.
Right, information is king, I guess. So that leads to the next step, data theft.
Absolutely. Data theft and identity fraud are huge drivers. They're hunting for, well, anything valuable. Emails, passwords, credit card details, social security numbers.
The stuff you really don't want out there.
Exactly. And this stolen info often surfaces on the dark web.
Ah, the infamous dark web. So it gets bought and sold there.
Pretty much. It fuels all sorts of other criminal activities, identity theft being a major one.
Scary stuff. But it's not always about brute forcing a server door down, is it? Sometimes it's more subtle, like those weird emails we all get.
You got it. Phishing attacks are a classic black hat technique. Very common.
How do those work? Exactly.
They craft these fake emails or fake websites. They make them look really convincing, like they're from your bank or a service you use.
And the goal is?
To trick you. To get you to hand over your login details, your password, your credit card number, whatever they're after. It relies on deception, making you think you're interacting with something legitimate.
It's like psychological manipulation almost, not just technical skills.
Very much so. It exploits trust.
And then there's the really nasty stuff, the software that locks up your computer.
Right, malware. And specifically, ransomware is a big one these days.
Find those for us quickly.
Sure. Malware is just a general term for malicious software viruses, trojans, spyware, things designed to harm your system or steal info. Ransomware, though, is particularly nasty.
How so?
It encrypts your files, scrambles everything, making your computer or your entire network unusable. Then you get a message demanding money.
The ransom.
Yeah, the ransom, often in Bitcoin or some other cryptocurrency because it's harder to trace. They promise to give you the decryption key if you pay up.
And we're seeing this hit bigger targets now, too.
Definitely. Critical infrastructure, hospitals, businesses. The attackers seem to be aiming for maximum disruption to pressure victims into paying.
That's terrifying. So it's moved beyond just individuals. Sometimes the goal is pure disruption, right? Taking things offline.
Precisely. That brings us to DDoS attacks, distributed denial of service.
Okay, what happens there?
Imagine taking a website or a whole network and just flooding it, overwhelming it with so much junk traffic from loads of compromised computers that legitimate users can't get through.
Like a digital traffic jam shutting down a highway.
It's a good analogy. The site crashes, the service goes down.
And why do they do that?
Could be extortion, pay us and we'll stop the attack, or it could just be sabotage, trying to hurt a competitor or make a statement.
Okay, got it. Now, you mentioned vulnerabilities earlier. Let's talk about zero-day exploits. They sound potent.
Oh, they are. A zero-day is a security flaw in software or hardware that nobody knows about yet, not even the company that made it.
So there's no fix, no patch.
Not yet. That's why it's called zero-day. The developers have had 0 days to fix it. If a black hat finds, or more likely, buys one of these.
Buys one. There's a market for these.
Oh, absolutely. A thriving underground market. Having a zero-day exploit gives them a powerful skeleton key, basically. They can get into systems before anyone even knows the door's unlocked.
Wow. Okay, so they have all these methods. Breaking in, tricking users, crashing sites, using unknown flaws. But how do they not get caught? They can't be leaving obvious tracks.
Anonymity is critical for them. Obfuscation, hiding their tracks, is key.
How do they manage that?
They use a whole toolkit. VPNs, virtual private networks, tunnel their traffic, hiding their real IP address.
Like routing your call through a bunch of different places.
Sort of, yeah. Then there are proxy chains, which bounce their connection through multiple servers around the world, making it even harder to trace back. They use encrypted communication apps to talk to each other securely. And those dark web forums we mentioned, they're not just marketplaces. They're places to coordinate, share tools, and plan attacks without attracting easy attention from law enforcement.
It really sounds like a sophisticated effort to stay hidden. And it's easy to talk about this stuff abstractly, like just code and servers, but the source material emphasizes this has real-world consequences.
Huge consequences. It's not theoretical. Think about the massive breaches mentioned in the sample dialogue. Equifax, Target.
Right. Millions of people's personal data just gone.
Exactly. Exposed. And then you have ransomware hitting hospitals, potentially endangering lives. It shows the tangible impact these digital attacks can have on everyday people and critical services. The sheer volume of stolen data out there is just staggering.
And the motivation, as the dialogue pointed out, it often seems to boil down to things like money, power, maybe just control.
That's generally the case for black hats, yes. It's a stark contrast to the white hats who are trying to fix the vulnerabilities to improve security.
So the intent is the core difference. Black hats operate illegally with harmful intent, usually for some kind of personal gain.
Precisely. Financial gain, espionage, disruption, but always outside the bounds of the law and ethics.
Okay, so that paints a pretty clear, if unsettling, picture of the black hat world. Unauthorized access, theft, disruption, all hidden behind layers of tech. But you mentioned gray hats earlier. Our source touches on them too, right? The sort of middle ground.
Yeah, and it's worth acknowledging them, even if they aren't our main focus today. Gray hat hackers operate in this, let's call it a legally ambiguous zone.
How so? Not outright malicious like black hats.
Usually not. Their intent isn't typically to cause harm or steal for profit, but unlike white hats, they often don't ask for permission before they start poking around systems.
They find flaws, but didn't have the okay to look in the first place.
That's often the scenario. They might claim they're doing it for the greater good, to expose weaknesses so they can be fixed. The source material actually mentions a lot of potential gray hat activities, like 100 examples.
100? Wow. Okay, so it's not a small category.
No, it suggests it's a really diverse and complex area. The examples given under exposing public vulnerabilities give a flavor of it.
Like what?
Well, for instance, someone finding a flaw in, say, a voting machine, and instead of quietly reporting it, they tweet about it publicly.
To raise alarm bells, maybe?
Presumably. Or hacking a government site just to prove the encryption is weak, leaving a note but not actually stealing anything.
Okay, I see. Testing boundaries.
Right. Another example was bypassing a university login system and then anonymously telling the admins about the bug they found. Well, it operates on a blurry line.
Definitely sounds like a whole other deep dive waiting to happen. That ethical gray area is fascinating. But for today, the key takeaway is about the black hats.
Absolutely. They are the ones operating illegally with malicious intent, aiming for personal gain or causing damage.
In understanding their methods, the break-ins, the phishing, the malware, DDoS, those 0 days, and how they stay hidden, that knowledge is really our first line of defense, isn't it?
It's crucial. You can't defend against threats you don't understand.
So wrapping this up, we've looked into the shadows at the techniques and motivations of black hat hackers. But that little glimpse into the gray area leaves us with a question, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you draw the line between someone breaking the rules, maybe even the law, with good intentions, versus someone causing real harm? What does that gray zone mean for cybersecurity as a whole, especially as technology keeps changing so fast?
Yeah, it's a tough question. That balance between security, ethics, and innovation, it's constantly shifting, something to definitely think about.